Hello guys, in this video I'll show you how to simplify algebraic fractions. Here we have x squared minus 9x plus 20 over x squared plus x minus 20. This is a fraction where the denominator is an algebraic expression. Therefore, the whole thing is called an algebraic fraction. But you don't need to know this in order to be able to simplify it. This is the way you should approach such problems. You see that you have x squared minus 9x plus 20. And this should be rewritten in the following way. A constant times x plus another constant times a third constant times x plus a fourth constant. And we have to figure out the values of these constants. How do we do that? Well, we have the original expression. Let's write down the brackets. We see that we have x squared here. Therefore, a times x times c times x should equal x squared, or 8 times c should be 1. In other words, we can write down two x's because both constants should be 1. And we see that b times d should be 20, and moreover, this times this plus this times this should be minus 9x. Thus, we obtain that our other constants b and d are minus 4 and minus 5. And let's check whether this is correct. Our expression now equals x squared minus, we have minus 5x, then we have minus 4x, and then we have minus 4 times minus 5, which is plus 20. Or we have indeed x squared, then we have minus 5x and minus 4x, which is minus 9x, plus 20. This is our expression that we find in the denominator. Therefore, we can rewrite our original fraction as follows. We have our x minus 4 and x minus 5 in the denominator. Let's see what we have in the denominator. We have x squared plus x minus 20. And the idea is to express it in a similar way. Again, we have just x squared. Therefore, we can write down x here and x here. We have minus 20 this time. And also plus x, which means that we need constants, the product of which is minus 20 and the sum of which is plus 1. And, for example, if we had plus 5 and minus 4, this would do the job, because we would have x squared, then we would have minus 4x plus 5x, which is plus 1x, and then we would have plus 5 times minus 4, which is minus 20. And now we can see that we can cross some things out. We have x minus 4 here and here, and that's it. We thus obtain x minus 5 over x plus 5. You see that this fraction is much simpler than the original one. Let's do another one. We have a to the power 3 plus 6 times a squared b plus 9 times ab squared over a squared b plus 5 times ab squared plus 6 times b to the power 3. This time, we have to find the highest common factor of our numerator and of our denominator. And we notice that we have a in every single term here. Therefore, we write down a and see what remains. We get a squared plus 6 times ab plus 9 times b squared. And we close the brackets. And in the denominator, we have b here, and b here. Therefore, we write down b. And we are left with a squared plus 5 times ab plus 6 times b squared. Now we have to simplify further. We have our line, we have a here, and now we notice that a squared plus 6 times ab plus 9 times b squared is nothing other than a plus 3 times b squared, because this is the first term squared, which is a squared. Then we have 2 times the first term times the second term, which is 2 times a times 3 times b, which is 6 times ab. And then this term squared is 9 times b squared. And in the denominator, we have our b. And now we have to do the trick that we did in the previous example. We write down the brackets. And we notice that we have a squared. Therefore, we write down a here and a here. Now, we need such constants, such numbers, that when we multiply them we get 6, and when we add them we get 5. And such numbers will be 2 and 3, because 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. Therefore, we write down 2 plus 2 times b, and plus 3 times b here. And now we see what we can cross out. We have a plus 3b and a plus 3b there. And thus we obtain a times a plus 3b over b times a plus 2b. And this is our answer. Let's keep going. We have 2 times a to the power 3 minus 6 times a squared b over 2 times a to the power 3 minus 2ab squared. All this is multiplied by a squared plus 3ab plus 2b squared over a minus 3b. Now, again, we have to find the highest common factor of this term, of this expression. And this is 2a squared, because we have 2a squared here and 2a squared here. And in brackets, we get a minus 3b. In the denominator, the highest common term is 2a, because we have it here and here. And in brackets, we get a squared minus b squared. Let's do the other fraction now. We have to do the trick that we've already done several times. And again, we write down the brackets, and we see that we have a squared. And therefore, we write down a and a. Now we need two numbers, the product of which is 2 and the sum of which is 3. Well, this would be the numbers 2 and 1. Therefore, we write 2 times b and just 1b. Indeed, we have a squared. Then we have 2ab plus 1 more ab, which is 3ab, and then we get 2b squared. And in the denominator, we have a minus 3b. And now we notice that we can cross these two out, also this, and let's see what remains. We have our a. We have also a plus 2b, and we have a plus b from here. And in the denominator, we get a plus b times a minus b, because this is what this algebraic equation is equal to. A squared minus b squared is a plus b times a minus b. And now we see that we have a plus b both here and here, and that's why we can cross them out. And finally, we thus obtain a times a plus 2b over a minus b. Let's move on. We have 2x squared plus x minus 1 over x minus 2 divided by 2x squared minus x over x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now, we have to do our trick again, but this time it is a little bit different, because we have 2x squared. Therefore, we write down 2x and x here, because 2x times 1x is 2x squared. However, obtaining the other two coefficients is a little bit trickier, because we cannot just say that we need two numbers, the product of which is minus 1 and the sum of which is 1, because this 2x will change the calculations. At any rate, we still need two numbers, the product of which is minus 1. And indeed, if you write down minus 1 here and plus 1 here, we will get what we need, because we would thus obtain 2x squared, which we have. Then we have 2x minus x, which is plus 1x, and then we get our minus 1. So everything's okay. And in the denominator, nothing changes. We write down x minus 2. And this has to be multiplied by the following. Because we have division here, we change it to multiplication, and then we swap the numerator and the denominator. Now we have x squared minus 5x plus 6. Again, let's do the bracket trick. We have x squared, that's why I write down x and x. And now we need two numbers, the product of which is 6 and the sum of which is minus 5, which should be minus 3 and minus 2. Because we have x squared minus 3x minus 2x, which is minus 5x, and then minus 3 times minus 2 is plus 6. And in the denominator, we have this thing, and the highest common factor of this algebraic expression is x. And we write it down here, and we write down 2x minus 1 in brackets. And now let's see what happens. We have x minus 2 here and here. We have 2x minus 1 here and here. Yeah, and that's it. And thus we obtain the following. X plus 1 times x minus 3 over x. And that's it. Let's keep going. We have 6x squared minus x minus 2 over 8x plus 4 times 2 over 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. Let's simplify. We write down our brackets, and now we have to figure out what to plug in there. We have 6x squared. Well, 6 is nothing other than 3 times x times 2 times x. 6x squared, I mean. And now what other coefficients do we have? We have 3x and 2x here, and we have to somehow obtain minus x and minus 2. Well, what if we wrote down 2 minus 2 here and plus 1 there? Well, then we would get 3 times x minus 4 times x, which is minus x, and 1 times minus 2 is minus 2. I know that it might look like magic at first, but the more problems like this you solve, the easier it gets. Practice makes perfect, as they say. Now let's proceed with the denominator of the first fraction. The highest common factor of this and this is 4. Therefore, we write down 4 times 2x plus 1. And let's do the second fraction now. Our 2 remains. And here we have to do the brackets again. We have 3x squared, so we write down 3x and x. Then we have minus 5x plus 2. Well, we have to write down minus 2 and minus 1 here, because minus 1 times minus 2 is 2. Then we have 3x times minus 1 is minus 3x, and then we have minus 2 more x, which is minus 5x. And what do we get? We have 4 and 2, this becomes 2. And then we have 3x minus 2. Then we have 2x plus 1, and we're left with almost nothing. What remains is 1 here, and then we have 2 times x minus 1. Let's keep going. We have x squared plus 6x plus 9 over 2x minus 2 times x squared minus 1 over x squared plus 4x plus 3. Let's start simplifying. The first fraction, the denominator of the first fraction, is simply x plus 3 squared, right? We have the first term squared times plus 2 times this, which is plus 6x, and then we have this squared, which is 9. Let's see the denominator. The highest common factor is 2, and we write down 2x minus 1. Let's do the second fraction now. We have x squared minus 1, which is x plus 1 times x minus 1. And in the denominator, we have our brackets. This time we have just x squared, which is simple. We write down xx. Now we need two numbers, the product of which is 3 and the sum of which is 4. And we can simply write down plus 3 and plus 1 here. And you can check, we have x squared, we have 3x plus x, which is 4x, and then we have 3 times 1, which is 3. And now let's cross some things out. We have x minus 1, we have x plus 3, we have x plus 1. And what's left is, we have the x plus 3, and here we have just the 2. Note that this is not an algebraic fraction because the denominator is simply 2. This is not an algebraic expression. Let's keep going. We have a over a minus b minus a squared over a squared minus b squared. Let's rewrite this as follows. The first fraction remains unchanged. A over a minus b. Then we have minus a squared remains, but in the denominator we write down a plus b times a minus b. And now we have to find the lowest common denominator and multiply by it so that we can do the subtraction. So we write down times a plus b times a minus b. And what do we get thus? We get the following. We have a times a plus b minus a squared. And this whole thing is over a plus b times a minus b. So we can now remove the brackets and we can get a squared plus ab minus a squared over a plus b times a minus b. And we cross this one out and we are left with a times b over a plus b times a minus b. Let's keep going. We have x minus 1 over x squared minus x minus 2 minus x plus 2 over x squared plus 4x plus 3. Let's go. This equals the following. We have x minus 1 in the numerator, and in the denominator we have to do the brackets. We have x squared, so we write down x and x. And now we have minus 2 and minus 1 here. Well, if you write down minus 2 and plus 1, we'll get our numbers correct, because we'll get x squared, then you'll get plus x minus 2x, which is minus x, and then you get minus 2 times 1, which is minus 2. Let's do the second fraction now. The x plus 2 remains, and now we have to do the brackets again. We have x squared, so we write down x and x. And now we need two numbers, the product of which is 3 and the sum of which is 4. Well, two such numbers would be plus 1 and plus 3. And let's check. We have x squared, then we get plus 3x plus 1x, which is plus 4x, and then we get plus 1 times plus 3, which is plus 3. So everything's correct. Now we need to find the lowest common denominator. And this is x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. And let's write it down. X plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. And let's see what we get thus. Well, this is our line, and we get x minus 1 times what's left here, x plus 3, minus x plus 2 times x minus 2 over that whole thing, x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. Or we have, here we have x squared plus 3x minus x minus 3 minus, and here x plus 2 times x minus 2, I'll write it as x squared minus 4. And in the denominator, nothing changes. X plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. Now we have to remove these brackets, and this is what we get when we do so. We have our x squared, we have plus 3x minus x, which is plus 2x. Then we have our minus 3, and now we have minus x squared plus 4. These two cancel each other out, and the denominator is obviously the same, x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. And what do we get? We get the following: 2x plus 1 over x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 3. Let's keep going. We have 1 over x plus y plus 1 over x minus y minus 1 over x squared minus y squared. So let's begin. We have the first two fractions, actually, they remain unchanged for now. 1 over x plus y plus 1 over x minus y. And we have minus 1 over x plus y times x minus y. Because x squared minus y squared equals x plus y times x minus y. Now we need to find the lowest common denominator. And it's quite obvious, it's x plus y times x minus y. So let's write it down. Everything has to be multiplied by x plus y times x minus y. And what do we get? Well, we get x minus y times 1, and then plus x plus y again times 1. But I'm not going to write it down. And we have minus 1. And this whole thing is over x plus y times x minus y. And we see that we have minus y and plus y here, so we obtain 2x minus 1 in the denominator, and we have x plus y times x minus y in the denominator. Let's do one more. This is the last one, guys, I promise. We have x over x squared minus y squared minus y over x minus y squared minus 1 over x plus y. So let's begin. We have x over x plus y times x minus y minus y over x minus y squared, and then we have minus 1 over x plus y. And now we need to find the lowest common denominator. And this is x plus y times x minus y squared. And that's it. We multiply by x plus y times x minus y squared. Let's see what we get. We have our line, and then we have x times x minus y times x plus y, and then we have minus what's left, x minus y squared. And in the denominator we have x plus y and x minus y squared. All right. Now we have to remove some brackets. We have x squared minus xy from the first one. Then we get xy again, or yx, but it's the same thing, minus y squared. And then we have, let's see what we have. We have x squared minus 2xy plus y squared. And the denominator remains unchanged, namely x plus y times x minus y squared. Let's see what we have. We have our x squared minus 2 times xy minus y squared minus x squared plus 2 times xy minus y squared. And this is over the same denominator, x plus y times x minus y squared, where we have minus 2xy here and plus 2xy there. We have x squared minus x squared, and yeah, that's it. So we thus obtain minus y squared minus y squared, which is minus 2y squared. And in the denominator we have x plus y times x minus y squared. And that's it.